Sunday is a day of limited Torah. You want? Oh,
Exactly.
a copy? Yeah.
But
Yeah, sure, it's a copy for you.
Thank you.
Okay, got it.
Online.
You see?
Yo, only listening.
Right.
Okay, very good.
And
L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
today, yes. And again, happy birthday, Rabbi. I know it just passed.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. You listening up?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Vayechi Yaakov eretz Mitzrayim shvesa shana. Vayehi me Yaakov shnei chayev sheva shonim v'arboim u'ma'at shana. The Torah says that when he came to Mitzrayim, he was 130 years old. And the Torah says that he passed away when he was 147. The Torah also tells us that he was in Mitzrayim for 17 years. Meforshim all ask, if you go like this and you count, you can figure it out. If he came to Mitzrayim at the age of 130, and then he passed away at the age of 147, so how many years was he there? Huh? 70? The Torah doesn't have to tell me that Vayechi Yaakov eretz Mitzrayim shas shana, because I know it already. But let's read it a little bit here. Zokte Medrash Rabbah Vayechi Yaakov eretz Mitzrayim Lama Pasha zu Stuma. Why is this Pasha closed? Lama Pasha zu Stuma Mikol Pasha Shel Torah. Why is this one from all the Pashas of the Torah? This is the only one that's closed. What does it mean that this Pasha is closed? Huh? Eretz? What does it mean the Pasha is closed?
It means there's not much of a space between the ending of Vayegash and Vayechi.
There's not much space, or there's no space?
Like there's like maybe a little bit, not much. Very difficult.
There is zero space. There's the space that's between a word and a word.
No space. Right.
There's no space. That's why a lot of times you see, it's like here in Beis Menachem Mendel and Shabbos, that Baal Koida gets a little confused because it's not a stuma, it's not a psucha.
Right.
The pashas that are stumas and the pashas that are psuchas. This one is not a psucha, not a stuma. It's nothing.
Right.
So the truth is that the opposite question should be asked. Who says that this is really a parsha? Who says that this parsha, because the psuchas and stumas are really halacha l'Moshe Massinai? So since this is not a psucha, not a stuma, who says this is a new parsha altogether? But bottom line is, and to compound the question, there were two minhagim. There was one minhag that the Rambam said that they were bnei Eretz Yisrael, and they laid Torah in how many years?
3.
Oh.
No, there's one cycle of trial.
They had 3.5 years.
So they claim.
The cycle was 3.5 years. The Bnei Bavel had a cycle of every year.
Right.
So the truth is that since the Medrash Rabbah we know is a Medrash from Eretz Yisrael, so it's taka pella. Why would the Medrash say that this is a parsha stuma? It's not a parsha. It's not a parsha. What do you mean we call a parsha Shabbat? The Moshe Rabbeinu gave us, there's 600 plus 657 parshas, half a psuchas, half a stumas. Right? You ever learned the Rambam in the right? That's the easy Rambam that day, right? You just have to go through the whole Torah. It's very long, right? It's an easy Rambam, but it's a very long Rambam that day.
Yeah.
So you go through all the parshas, about 650, half a psuchas, half a stumas. This is not a psuchas, this is not a stuma. The Rebbe says that you have to. That there is a concept that the Zohar says, "Gans dorim deiraisa." There's a garden, Gans dorim deiraisa. So what are the people from Eretz Yisrael going to do? Even though they split up the Torah into 3.5 years, obviously they also held that there's such a thing of Gans dorim deiraisa. And who split up the parshas? So Lamashal the Meiri writes in the Sefer Kiyah Sefer that it was and the Ohr Zarua writes in Moshe Rabbeinu Others write Ezra.
Shmulik.
Huh?
Shmulik came. I said Shmulik.
Yeah, I can.
Shmulik came.
Who is it?
I don't know who is this.
Who is
I don't know.
Who is saying?
Me, it's Steven. Sorry, I
Oh.
didn't interrupt. Yeah. I just gave. I said someone just walked in.
Oh, okay, very good, very
It
good.
seems very quiet there. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you for making a little bit of noise.
Okay, well, yeah. I guess you can use it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
As long as I'm not
appreciate it.
interrupted. Okay. As long as you. Yeah. No problem. All right.
Herschel, you're the sweetest young bocherel in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, here, let's start the page in the top. Why is this parsha stuma? Mikol parsha shel Torah. From all the parshas, says we just went through. What do you mean it's a stuma? It's not a parsha b'chlal. There's a parsha stuma and a psucha. This is not a parsha. If you noticed by Mincha over here, the Balkoida had a hard time finding the beginning of Vayechi because it's not a stucha. It's a line. It's the middle of it's mamish elamai because there's ganz dorim there. I 53 storim, and that the Chelukei parshas, even though psucha and stuma, that's the Raisa. But the 53 parshas, Moshe Rabbeinu did it, Ezra did it, Yeshua Benun did it, but Lapoel, it's a very choshev. Whoever did it knew what he was doing, and Shaila is why from all the parshas of Torah this one has stuma. Elo kimisha niftar Avinu Yaakov ischil shubed Mitzrayim al Yisro. So because Yaakov Avinu passed away, the shibud starts. Rashi will explain soon in a minute. And that's why it's a stuma, because nistamu einayim v'libim shel Yisrael mitzaras hashibud. Rashi explains that a little better. That's what's a parsha stuma. The Baracha, second thing, lama yistuma v'nei shabikash Yaakov v'nei lagalas hakates v'nistam imenu. That he wanted to make all of the gates, and it became stuma. The Baracha, third pshat, lama yistuma v'nei shesosa imenu kol tzara shebe'olam.
Once the whole sikha, but what do you mean because Yaakov Lagalas Sakets? He's going to tell you, guys, it's going to be in 3,000 years.
Yeah, we did that. But this sikha we didn't do ever yet. It's a different sikha. So according to the third pshat, the first two pshatim Abamis is a negative. It's abstuma because if nistamu name she Yisrael mitzaras hashibud or bikash lagalas hakei, a nistam imenu. The third is very positive. That was the pshat. We'll learn it soon in the Meforshim, but by the Kuda, the pshat is that Yaakov Avinu lived 130 years, and they were all full of tzaras. Tzaras with Esav, tzaras with Lavan, tzaras with Dinah, tzaras with Yosef, tzaras here, tzaras there. He's constantly living with tzaras. 130 years, he's living with tzaras. Finally, at the end of his life, he lived a good 17 years. So that's a pshat.
He's in Yeshiva.
That last Machaya, that was good. Lomi, he retired and he went to yeshiva, and it was very good. Lomi, he stuma, all the tzara shabaylam went away. It was nistim the tzara shabaylam. It's the third pshat in the Medrash is a very positive. Machaya. Potig went from all the tzaras. 130 years he had nothing but tzaras. And finally he was able to kick the tzaras away. Rashi, Vayechi Yaakov, Lama Pashas Ustuma, Lafi Shekivish, and if the Yaakov Avinu and Istamo name, V'libut Shel Yisrael, Mitzaras Hashibut Sheschilu L'Shat. Rashi explains the Medrash even better. He explains why it's Stuma, because Nistamo name, V'libut Shel Yisrael, Mitzaras Hashibut. The Baracha, Shebikesh Lagalas Hakei, it's Labona V'nistam Imen. The Rashi doesn't bring the third pshat. Why would Rashi not bring the third pshat? Third pshat, Afka is a very geschmack pshat. It's a positive shot, not a negative shot.
You realize by the Medrash it says, and here you look at it as a bono.
Right, there's a few differences. The Rebbe has a deal on each one, but upon him, why would that? And in a way, the last pasuk in Vayigash it says that they were in Be'eretz Goshen, Vayachazuba, Vayifra, Vayirbu Meyoid, a positive thing. So next pasuk. Vayechi Yaakov, why wouldn't you say, just like the previous pasuk is, Gewald, a Geschmack Inyan, it's a Malyusa, why wouldn't you say that this is also positive? That was a positive and this is a positive. So why did Rashi decide to ignore the third pshat in the Medrash and only brings the other two? Okay, let's read a few mefarshim here. The Gurarya says, "Vayechi Yaakov lama parsha zostuma bereishis rabba." Bafakav shkana parsha zostumas heina makshe rag beparsha zois lefisha zostuma mikol vakol shein lahefsa k'moshor parsha zostumas. There is a psuch and there's a stuma, but still there's a little bit of an open, like the Rambam describes.
Here's the middle of
There's a few dinim in stuma and psucha, but there's a space. There's always a space. There's always a space. The shaila is how big or how it
beginning
works.
of the line, the end of the line.
Yeah, there's a few tzuris for stuma, a few for psucha. But here there's no hefsa klal. Shacholok ben stuma so ben psucha, stuma so matchelas ben shkatzam, shusayim apashel afnan, rekshmani shir tes-Vuv. Oh. Upasha psucha no schelas ben shura, upasha zu stuma mikol kol vein lehefsa loira kamo yisay fosak keno berom. The Rambam goes through, like I said before, the 650 psuchas and stumas. About half a psuchas, half a stumas. So there's always a space. The bottom line of a stuma is that there's always going to be something in the beginning and and the end of the line, and that's going to be in the middle. That's the bottom line of a stuma. So, but here this is the only parsha in the Torah that there's nothing.
Right.
There's 0, 0, 0. There's nothing. Ein lo akshas achas ein lo rebbe klal shem ein parsha b'fnei atzma. Bi parsha achas parsha l'fanesh parsha eiz stuma veiz psucha k'bola medinim as a sofer. Shei sofer more b'teres Moshe. And the Rambam says more than that. The Rambam, this is the Maral. The Rambam says it's parsha halacha l'moshe Messinai. Parshas elu aksha machalkan as shtei parshas is alkein korcha k'kabola b'yadeinu. It must be that it's a Kabbalah b'yadeinu. Loich ein inyan Pasha Zula Tzarech Lemesh Kol Achad Pasha V'nei Atzma.
Even though there's nothing there, but
Even though there's nothing there, because Kabbalah b'yadeinu, as the Rebbe says, that even though there's the shitta that says that we read the Torah in 3.5 years, and that after the Bereshis Rabbos and Medrash Eretz Yisrael, so the Machaber, the Bereshis Rabbah did the Kriyas Torah in 3.5 years, but the Zohar says there's gan sedorim deiraisa. So is the pshat that the Zohar helped with the Bavli and with the Yerushalmi? You don't have to b'machik. The machloik is to say that there was a Kabbalah l'Moshe Messina, maybe Moshe Rabbeinu or Ezra, someone split the Torah into Gans Dorim. Elamai, even though the Torah was split into Gans Dorim, in Eretz Yisrael, the minhag was to read it in 3.5 years. But the bottom line is that this is a parsha that's a separate parsha, not midin stuma psucha, but midin that it's a separate parsha. Okay.
When did it stop that we're reading every year the whole Torah?
According to it's the chamachloikis, could the noyagim that are noyag to do it every year, they hold.
There's nobody else in the world that don't do 1 year.
Yeah, today we don't have that.
So when did they stop?
When did they stop?
Yeah,
Yeah, non-Dorsa.
it's very interesting.
Good question. When did they stop?
1 year they said, okay, we're going to do it in 1 year now.
Right.
Every Shabbos we're going to read double.
Right. That's a
Interesting
good
to know.
question. That's a good question.
On what they took upon themselves to say,
Mitnamol.
Mitnamol, okay, the whole world going to change now. We're going to read the whole Torah in 1 year.
It's probably the Koshi Ashibud really what happened. The Yidden from Bovel had a very strong koyach. Was for a few hundred years Talmud Bavli, and there was a very powerful the yeshivas the goinim v'chulu. Thank you for joining us. We're holding the second piece. Rashi could be. I'm just answering your share. Could be. So the minhag Eretz Yisrael. So those that went from Golus from Eretz Yisrael were very small communities and didn't have.
It seems like people went from Bovel to Israel back and forth. Like we're going to New York to Israel now. People went.
Still,
not like
there were a lot of Eden that went from Golus from Yerushalayim. Mashal. There is Adayom. That's come out decimated. They don't exist anymore. The Romanite Jews. I'm saying it a little. I'm off by a syllable. Kids are the Roman Jews.
okay.
Till the Shoya Yuma, so there were hundreds of thousands, or maybe 100,000 at least, the Yidden that considered them the Roman Jews. The Roman Jews, In Italy, mostly in Greece.
Yeah.
And you see big Jews and this is like
They're called the Roman Jews, Romanites. It's the Roman Jews. What was the Indian, the Roman Jews? That these are the Eden that Titus took away as avodim,
In that area.
and eventually, when the Roman Empire fell apart, they were freed, and they opened up Kehillas v'chulu v'chulu v'chulu.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that Nishka hat kein starke Messiah. I stand on answering Shabbos. Nishka hat kein starke Messiah. Because Nevach, they were avodim, and their children and their grandchildren, they became frum, and they didn't have such a strong Messiah. And now they were asking the Goinim to send them Chachomim, to teach them. So they were taught, so that's what it's, so that minik from Eretz Yisrael, there wasn't a big enough kehillah that moved somewhere that took with them this minik. Anyway, you're asking a shayla. It's a good kasha.
Okay. Some this no is
that. This is not Professor Judaic, because there's a lion's eye in the shayla. Okay, next piece. Rashi. Oh no, we did it in next piece. Rashi Gurari. Sifsei Chachamim. Dover Acher. Rabbi Malki. See Sifsei Chachamim? Say halfway through the page. Sifsei Chachamim. Dover Acher. Shabikish Legal Tzakei. In terms of the Fipir Shedition. Hayla this time. Come on. If it's because it's Soros Hashibud, should have said later, but Pasuk Shenechtamu Shemeis Yaakov. Or the Fid Dover Acher. Hayla this time. Pasuk Yosef Agidalachem, which is also later. Shlomo the Emtza said that ain't nikerim nista b'shadak elis nista. Although you say there shadrash tzalolo kach umoyne kol shnoise v'havim moke misoset v'chein li ningol tzaketz mistam alay megalom ketz alasom chamik tzose kanu moke misoset can finish shirash kach mucher shap minay. This is going to be a very critical point in the later in the answer of the Rebbe, saying that that over here it's niker, the steam is niker over here. Later it wouldn't have been so niker.
And why Dafka now? Because look at this. Why Dafka Lefnei
why Dafka Lefnei Mitzvah? It's a good kasha.
Why couldn't he tell him before?
Right. Oira Chaim, Vayechi Yaakov, Beretz Mitzrayim, Tzarech L'das, Lama Hu Tzarech Lama Ma Shechoy Beretz Yisrael.
Someone, a peep shot, I would say, you saw how they suffering, so I'll give you some, there's a light behind the
Right, that does it. Before they're going into the Tzoras HaShiva, they wanted to show
there's
that.
a light behind the like we said, a Ozim. Why? You look at the Ozim, one day you go out, you have it.
You want to give them a Vayechi Yaakov Beretz Mitzrayim, Tzarech L'das, Lama Hu Tzarech Lama Ma Shechoy Beretz Mitzrayim. Veit Kosha. Lo Tzarech Lama Ela
Vayehi
Yemei Yaakov Kol Mezayim. V'ani Yedei Lef Cheshbon Yesheva Seshon HaChoy Beretz Mitzrayim. Lama Shekodem Bedos Pashos Vayigesh Litziv Shnei Megura Shloshim Asham. He says if anyone could do math, you go like this with your fingers and you can figure it out. If Yaakov came to Mitzrayim when he was 130, he passed away at 147. So how many years did he live in Mitzrayim? 17 years. So why does the Pasuk have to tell me he comes to Mitzrayim when he's 130, passed away at 147, and he lived there for 17 years? Why did the Torah have to specify it? Oh, lama hutzach lama shnei chayev v'lehispik lama v'hi yimei Yaakov. Ule kilatzad shkol yimei Yaakov le'noch v'le'shok. Le'noch v'le'shok. Yigim shenoi le'tzitnoi v'adayin le'shokach shimshoi Omad lovim ve'ela moisef le'rolo v'achar v'ukam tzayda shaldina v'oidlo v'yove roiges avedas yosef v'sham arkosa v'chi Yaakov v'etzrayim yudayin shana. Elo hoyu chayev v'loi koidem. The only good years in his life was the 17 years.
So then it wasn't living.
He wasn't living. Samach lazoymar, similar to Balaturim. It's the Hayom Yom this week. That this was his best years of his life. Samach lazoymar v'hi yimei Yaakov nechayev l'ramet. Shehein heina hoyu yom of shemam chayes. V'omer v'hi yimei Yaakov pirish oisen yud zayin shona yishnei chayev pirish hoyu lebem chayev. Nimshechus yimei Yaakov al mashal amata. That's a pshat when the Torah says, "Vayechi Yaakov, Vayehi Yemei Yaakov, Shnei Chayav." Who'd gelept? Gelept is these 47 years is gelept. The other ones are not given gelept. Kliyoker says, "Lalosh Shlishi Adoidish." There's three pshatim in the Medish, and one is Lomi Istume Neshasos Mena Kol Tzara Shabaylam. She says, "Lapisha Nisme Mena Kol Tzara Shabaylam." Yomer Akos Af Bishoy Kol Yom B'Tzara the Geirus. כמו שרקוס, ימי מגורי, כופלם שנה מעטים ורואים, כל מקום לגודל השער בשהר לא תריך יזין שנה, שלא ישיבס בונם בשולם, ויוחז בארץ ויפרו וירבו נשכחו ממנו. כל הצורס הראשונה שעבר עליו, והיו כלו היו. לקח נמה ויהי מי יעקב שני חייב, כפם זין שנה, כעוסם כופלם שנה. לא נחשב המכלל ימי חייב לגודל צורס, ועכשיו לא מפריע, נחשב כולם שני חייב, וזה לפי שניסתו ממנה כל הצורס שעברו, כאילו היה חיים נעימים וערבים בכל שנה. שלי באמס יוסף היה חייב, וכך צמח ויחי יעקב לפסק הקודם. That's the why the previous pasuk says Vayechi vayifru v'yirbu miyod, which is a positive. So the next pasuk continues on a positive theme, on a positive note that Vayechi Yaakov l'mafreya tegelekt. Mashiach medash losen zeh l'fi shenira lo shahaynu hach halosh nedish. Kashem abur le'meivim bizbonus ma'at, which is a little pale why I'd say. Forget Rashi was mashmet. He was mashmet talking. The Asher was like a mashma. Okay. So the two kashas that the Rebbe is asking is, number one, why Taka Asher was the measurement three pshat and why it's a stuma. Three pshat is a geshmak pshat because he had a lot of tzoras his whole life and now got rid of his tzoras. That's the way Chazal always say about tzaddikim. They show him they live a good life and then they have a sour life. Tzaddikim is the other way around. There was a whole deed here, a Russian Jew. What's his name?
The one that worked by the Alter Rebbe church?
Yeah.
Umi!
Leib Gak.
Umi!
Leib Gak. Leib Gak, yeah? Yeah. Leib Gak, yeah? You hear? You hear a story? The guy worked, he was one of the top, he was in the Communist Russian Party. He was like
he was next to the plate.
You know, it's like getting a job in the West Wing, in the next office, right next to
the White House.
In the White House, right next to President Donald Trump. Mamash Azoy. He had in that place the Taina Sovet, but he wasn't the Nachalnik. He said the Nachalnik was always a shikere goy that didn't know how to count. Even if he put together his hands on his fingers, on his toes, but a Jew can never be in charge. So they put a goy. The goy was, but the always second in command was always a Jew. Someone else
to run the business.
To run the business. Okay. Vayechi Yoim, and communism is falling apart. So one of his buddies said, "We'll do business." So now I'm not interested in business. He chopped whatever he could. He filled up his pockets. He got onto a plane and came to America. That's it.
He left everything behind.
Everything behind.
It's a big deal.
Everything he left behind. He became a frumayid. He used to daven. He used to go to mikveh. Everything, and he passed away. B'sholom, b'shalva, b'seiva toiva. His wife was an almona. She decided to move to Crown Heights. And Baruch Hashem, she's living nicely in Crown Heights. She was much younger than him, his wife. I think it was a Zivik and if it wasn't, they met when they were old or something. I don't think they... okay, upon him, he left her with whatever, it got up $1 in the Geshem.
So, us a long time.
Yeah, he was there for many years.
He was there in the old shul in Avenue I. Then he moved to 17 over here. And he haven't even in this shul also.
So he said that this guy, this friend of his, had asked him that they'll go into business, became an oligarch. He was a billionaire. He was, until one day, he was found shot dead in a hotel in Milano with a few Zionists. And that was it. That was the end of it. He used to sell the story with a smile.
I could be the same.
I could have been there with that guy. I could have been there.
They call this generation Russian window cancer.
What?
Russian window cancer. He just fall out of windows.
Exactly.
I went to Rubin Mikveh with him all morning and took the heater with pork. water was really cold. I jump in, jump out, and I
Oh,
went to the hot shower.
You mean
It was like, no, it's on fire.
over here?
What?
Day 15.
It's like, oh. I couldn't believe it. He stayed in the water. He didn't jump in and out. He stayed in the water. Serious.
He was good. He was good. He was. That's the story.
The way he was saying it, it's it's good. You know what I'm talking about?
No. He passed away
Before he came.
Yeah. No, but he didn't have any children. He did? So maybe then.
Yeah.
But they
I
weren't,
remember in the Levaya, this
they
guy
were
came with a BMW.
Yeah?
With a BMW, yeah.
Yeah?
We came out to the car. I showed
So
him
then-
to the Kaddish.
So then from this wife, he didn't have any children.
Right.
So then maybe it was
That's
from
the first,
Zivigdish.
yes.
And then Ayid came as Ayid.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, there's
I remember we saying Kaddish with him. I showed him the Siddur and this, yeah, I remember.
Upon him, that's the difference of tzaddikim and Rishoyim. Rishoyim, they live a good life until, like you said, they get the Russian window cancer. And the tzaddikim, 130 years was very bitter, and at the end, it was very sweet.
The thing is, they don't feel they suffer. Even though they suffer, they don't feel they suffer.
Shaila is, Dr. Rebbe, what's a pshat l'mafreya? It's a very funny pshat. What's a pshat? He had 130 bad years, and then he had 17 good years.
So 17
and you're
was
telling me l'mafreya.
overcome
It's
this.
a little funny. What's a pshat? What's a pshat and pshat? And even in Medrash, what's a pshat? Oh, good. It's not Nishkin Kasha. Rashi doesn't bring it. This is Nishkin Kasha of Rashi. This is Rachaim, Yokor. There's
And then, of course,
what's the pshat? And anyway, bottom line in Rashi. So the Kudah of the Rebbe's Vir is like this. First of all, in pshat, this parsha is talking all about the Ptid of Yaakov Avinu. So Rashi, it's not mistabed to Rashi that the first pasuk and the parsha is talking about the Ptid of Rashi and Yaakov Avinu, that the poet wants to tell us how sweet of a life he had. So in the Medrash, we'll talk about it in a second, why in the Medrash is Andish. But in Pshat, it's shver to Rashi to say that the first pasuk and the whole parsha, he's going to give a bracha to Nashma Ephraim, he's going to give a bracha to Lot, they're going to carry him up Big Levaya. The first pasuk about a parsha that's talking about the Ptid of Yaakovin should talk about how good of a life he had. So it's a like Tzachnish.
Also the name, not Pashas Vayechi, Pashas Vayechi.
Oh. Now, fragt sich the Shaila Ida. Why is it called Pashas Vayechi? Taka, Hogufa Kasha. I guess the whole thing is about the Ptid of Yaakov Avinu. So Hogufa Kasha, why Taka? You're telling me why Rashi doesn't think that this shot makes sense of shot. Because we're talking about the Ptid of Yaakov, not about the life of Yaakov.
The same question he asked.
So what's Taka Zoy? What's Shtekt Vayechi?
Like the same question.
The Emfer, the Zalba Emfer. The Emfer is that the Pasuk says, Vashem Elokim Emes Ulakim Chaim. The only thing that's Emes HaChaim is a Lakus. Emes HaChaim is Lakus. Chazal say that there's Nohoras HaMachazvan, Apostle L'Kiddush Mechatas, because not Mayim Chaim. What's Nohoras HaMachazvan? If it's 1 to 7 years. Why 7 years? The Rebbe says because this world, the whole thing is Sheker V'Chozer. Elamai, the cycle of this of Elam Hazeh, 7 years, 7 days, 7. If it live for 7, it's gelef.
Right.
But if it doesn't live for 7, it's not gelef.
Right.
So atem adveikim b'Hashem Elokeichem chaim kul chamayim. So chois mishla kodesh baruch emes. Why is emes? Because it's nitzchi. So a yid which is connected to the Eibishter has nitzchius, and therefore he has emes achaim. So gelef. So the emes is gelef. So how do you know a yid is gelef? How do you know it's gelef? Because a tzaddik, you never know. Shema yigram achet. A tzaddik, we were talking last night after the Fabrengen about the story of the Alter Rebbe. That the Alter Rebbe, when they came, the Tsar came to talk to him. But the Alter Rebbe didn't stand up, and the Alter Rebbe was mizbon, and then he stood up. And after the interrogation, they asked him, how come you didn't stand up? So he asked him if he knows the story of Yaakov, and the guy knew the Yaakov, and he knew the story of Rashi, he knew everything. So he said, why was he saying Krishma when he met his son? So because he realized that he has such love to his son that he wanted first to make sure that there's avos to the Eibishter, and then there's avos to his son. Alter Rebbe said, when you came in, I felt a moitiv of fachet. I felt a moitiv of fachet for you. And therefore, I decided that first I have to be mizbanan, that the motive of fachet is for the Rebbeinu Shalom, and then but first I have to mizbanan. So
why does he actually add this? I mean, the goyim.
Well,
Have, no, the goyim have.
the guy knew the Rashi knew everything. So I knew all the pshat.
That's why he had the ira from him. That's why he felt the ira from him, because he really had.
Why?
No, I'm
his
asking.
life was in danger. That's why he felt him because his life was in danger. Exactly. So, a kid told the story to his rabbi, not this story, a different story from the Chayzer, similar shnit, whatever. What's negate the protein? So the rabbi said, the shemaisa. How could you say such a thing? Yaakov Avinu was always bedveikus with the Eibishter. How could the dveikus? So afterwards, I was thinking, there's a story that the Alter Rebbe had a chassid, the Moshe Velenke, who was a Moscow Godel. But he had a younger brother who was also a chassid, and there's a word from him that he said that a chassid is not a portrait. A chassid is not a portrait. He said a misnagid is a portrait. It's from today, tomorrow, the day after. There's no ups, there's no downs. It's a portrait. Just like a portrait's on the wall, smiling for 100 years, still going to be the same smile. But a chassid is not a portrait. It's a gate. I'm all as good. I'm all nicht as good. It goes up and down. So a tzaddik is not a portrait. A tzaddik is dynamic. Yaakov Avinu had unbelievable love for his son Yosef. Like Take, unbelievable love. He loved the son.
And it was taken away from him.
No.
They say that, I don't know if it's true, that they told the Chaznish the story with the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, that the baby fell out of the Vigele, and
He was learning so much.
so he picked up the baby and he put the baby to sleep. And then he gave Musa to the Mittel Rebbe. And how could you learn in an oifen that you don't hear a baby crying, a Yiddish kind weint? As in the Welt, it could be a Baba Meise. I'm just telling the Welt Zog, the Chaznish is verstehen the Meise. It's a beferish in Maim Chazal, that they know them loim Teure alum came as Achzer al Bonov Benoise ke Oidev. That a person never learns Torah left is misachzer.
It's like the way to look.
What do you mean?
You have to be an achzer. Because if you're always going to be a good daddy, I tell you, you're never gonna be the next Rosh Yeshiva. If you want to be next Rosh Yeshiva, the baby veins, that the pampers, that the pamper. Someone else will take care of it.
That's how they work, actually.
You're learning Gemara Rashi Tosfos. Someone else will take care of the pamper.
That's a shita.
So the baby vein.
They have the grandfather to deal with it. They have the grandmother to do it. I'm going to be a Rosh Hashiva. So what's wrong with that? For them, it's nothing. That's what they are.
I'm not sure the story is true, but naniach the story is true. No. They told the Chazanish the story, and that the Chazanish didn't like the story with the Alter Rebbe and the Mittel Rebbe. No,
but he didn't like the
that's the Welt that zelt as a
right. He didn't like what the Alter Rebbe told his son.
It was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so the same thing here. Listen, Yaakov Avinu was a father. He loved his son, and he missed him for 22 years, and the pain was unbelievable. And therefore. So, and it's not shaykh to say that it's true. The emissaries, the Ovis were Markova. But it would be silly to say that what's up shot the Ovis was on Markova, that 130 years, 147 years Yaakov Avinu lived was a portrait on the wall. Sein Zitkis is given the Zilbezach. The Zilbezach. Never stepped up. So, Emes, he was a Markova. He never chas v'shalom had Taivas Isur, never even had Taivas Hete. He was a Makova. He only wanted what the Eibishter wants. It's the Chadav Poshut. That's the pshat. The Yaakov Avinu was a Makova. And he was said, Shema Yikun Chet. Chet means Lefi Erech, the Chet of Yaakov Avinu. the fair of Daga Batzadik. But for sure, select Zachinkov, that Yaakov Vinu's tzitkas was always growing. That Yaakov Vinu, he was constantly growing in tzitkas. And Emes Taka, there was Dvekas, but Dvekas is not stoic. It's not a picture on the wall. It's not a portrait. That's the so. The Rebbe says that by Yaakov Avinu, where was Nicker, the Emes Dvekas that he had in Eibishter in the last 17 years? And Dafke b'Mitzrayim, and Dafke in Erves Oretz, and Dafke in a place where the Somas Nisyonis, and Dafke in a place that all his kids came there, and his children are all going b'derech Hashem, mitose shleima. That was Nikir that the Emes Vayechi, Segalet. Because some to say that a person lived 130 years, miserable years, the last 17 years, they say Lamafreya, it's very nice. Take, Leib Gaket, Gelach, he had the last laugh that guy died, gestorben, also in Hund in Italy. And he is sitting in basement Achemedel Nadavant Geschmack. It's nice, but still, what do you mean backwards? You're going backwards. Whatever says the word is that where's Nikir, the Tzitkas of Atzadik Dafka when he's nifted? And he has Talmidim, and he has children that are going in his ways. And that's the Be'emes of Vayechi. That's the Nikir, the Vayechi, the Yaakov in Eloi Meis, Ma'azare B'chaim, Afu B'chaim. So that's where it's Nikir, the Vayechi of the Tzaddik. That's where it's Nikir, the Vayechi. That's why Taka, the Parsha, is Vayechi. Maybe she'll help him. It's Hey Tevis. So, Hey Tevis is Ayom Skula. There's a whole pilpul now, Balabavich. There's a pilpul is that the Rebbe, Tov Shemam Zayin, the Rebbe said that everyone should write a note. Whatever they want.
Go straight to the Rebbe.
My kids asked me tonight, Tati, you remember what you wrote? I said, I remember what I wrote. I was a little kid. I wrote everything I wanted.
Anything?
So the kid said, you got it? I said, yeah, they're all around the table. So I got what I wanted. So the ganze
I don't think we had a
about,
second to write down that she get married and have children and they should go there.
you don't know me. I'm a Mayente. I was a Bob. I wrote 6 pages. I remember sitting in my parents' dining room. I wrote for my whole life. The Rebbe gesagt, it's once in a lifetime. What are you talking about? So there's a pilpul Lubavitch. Is it a Hiro Shah or is it a Yom Segula V'Deshona B'Shona? That one time, it was only for one time. That year, the Rebbe said that everyone should write. I remember going to Manhattan. We went to some Persian drugstore. I went to a lot of places, except because you come to a place, you want to put on film. Yeah. No, you come to a place, Lubavitch Rebbe said, you write a letter, everything in the world you want. And you seal the envelope, I'm not reading it, I'm bringing it to the Lubavitch Rebbe.
Who said that?
The Rebbe said.
The Rebbe said that.
Oh.
And then after the guy writes the letter, you grab his hand, you put on film. What do you think? He's going to say, no, I'm not going to put on film?
No.
Joey, come here, Lubavitch Rebbe said. Everyone came to the center of the store, and we're telling them then they're taking papers and they're writing celebritic. Moving, everyone put on film.
You remember the bags that the Rebbe took to this car?
I see pictures. I don't remember. I remember going to Mitzrayim.
There's a video now.
I see, but I don't remember it. I see the pictures. I don't remember. But I do remember writing my letter. I do remember this theory. Joey!
Everybody
the ganze comedy kommt is in a rug store. Alle we kommen zu gehen. Lubavitch Rebbe sagt, alle schreibt. So there's a pilpul now, Lubavitch, to say, it's b'deshona. I think we could go in Lachumra over here. Medeshona B'Shona. It's nothing to lose. What does I say? That's the Ebbes of Vayechi. L'chaim. Yeah, Herschel, you here? Write everything from your heart and bring it to the oil from the Rebbe. Okay, very good, exactly.
Yes.
No, it was involved. It was the next day. It's